Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lethal Sales. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight's topic is what the tariffs have done to the dealerships insofar as they are very, very busy because people are running in to buy cars before the tariffs hit. And the question is, okay, that's happening and isn't that wonderful? But the question is, what's going to happen next? Are we going to have a lot of inventory that we can't sell? Are we going to have no inventory at all? So, Larry, you ready? Ready,
Sure,
ready, Larry?
sure. It's it's really funny because I believe on this show, uh, and on a few other shows that asked my opinion for whatever the heck that's worth, I indicated that every negative is a positive. Everything's an opportunity. It's just sometimes it's hard to see that when you're feeling stress and pressure. But for all the concerns and craziness, you had a whole lot of people that had, not fear of missing out, fear of getting hit with tariff prices. So a lot of dealers got really busy because people wanted to come in and access the vehicles before what they thought or perceived would be a rise in prices. I think the markets are going to smooth out. I think we'll see the stock market's already stabilizing. I think the tariff things will come into line, and I think it's all going to be okay. In the car business, we tend to run into this chicken little, the sky is falling mentality. It's not falling. We're going to be okay. The strong dealers will get stronger. The weak dealers will have to struggle a little bit more. And hopefully everybody will put some thought into fixed operations and used cars and just being smarter and maximizing every lead. But no, I'm really not shocked and surprised about that. Again, I distinctly remember saying all these negatives are opportunities, and the tariff just became a great opportunity to say, hey, why don't you buy now? Because the price may go up and you seem to really like the vehicle. So as usual, I remain pretty darn optimistic. I think we're going to be fine. I think the rest of this year is going to be pretty good and pretty healthy. And I'm pretty excited about that. What do you think, Peter?
Well, I agree 100% with you, Larry. It's very simple. We get our impasses, our obstacles, our roadblocks, and our challenges, and we overcome them in the automobile industry. We always have, we always will. If the cars go up to 100% more, people still need cars to move around. What are they going to do? They're going to buy pre-owned because that's the only thing that they're going to be able to afford. So they're still going to buy cars. It's just a reflection of where they're buying their cars from. If they buy used cars because the new cars are 100% more, whatever it is, could be 200% more, their vehicles are going to go up. So it's an equalizing basis. So why run around going, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Oh, we're never going to sell cars again. This is gloom and doom. I got to get out of this industry and go to selling windows or solar panels or whatever you want to go to. It's just a knee-jerk reaction that is unnecessary. Where it comes down to actually working in a dealership and actually looking at what to do is be cautiously optimistic. Don't go full fledged into it because you can, and the only thing that you can go full fledged in right now is buying used inventory. If you do that and the market changes, and you could be caught out severely. So I don't recommend that. I recommend actually looking at it pragmatically and saying, hey, I'm going to need 10% or 15% more than I originally have, and let's look at it that way. Um, the real factor that I look at is how do you treat your customers? Really, how are you treating your customers coming in? Because they're customers coming in and hopefully clients going out. And that's the big difference. And most people don't understand that. It's just like leads and opportunities. Anything that comes to the dealership is just a lead. It's up to you to turning it into an opportunity. You turn that opportunity into a customer, and that customer into a client, and then that's the life cycle of the chance that you get. So what are you doing? How are you doing it? What are you looking at? And that's the biggest thing that we have to focus on moving forward. And really, I would say The best piece of advice that I can give right now is go back into your CRMs, look what's been there, look who's been there. If they bought a car in the last 6 months, a year, sell them a VSC. Protect them against increased costs. If they haven't bought a car in the last 6 months and they're driving a car, get them in to do recalls. And while they're in getting your recalls done, then offer them opportunities to enhance their driving experience. That's the biggest thing that I can suggest and put out there. Don't go out there saying the tariffs are coming, the tariffs are coming, just like Paul Revere in Boston and the Minutemen. Don't do that. All it's going to do is,
Peter, we survived COVID and we survived 9/11. You talk about scary. Man, how freaky was it? You see CGI effects where it's like buildings fall down and there's like floods and you think it's crazy. We had real life CGI effects. You'd go past a dealership that it could hold 400 cars and there was 7 cars in the lot. Guess
Mhm.
what? We're still here.
The-
Yeah, there was weeds growing in the parking lot because the actual sun got onto the pavement.
Yep.
There-
How about if so we don't bury him in the background because we love to hear it. How about if we start with Mandy and Mike, whoever wants to go first, and then we'll flip over to Mr. Scherer and Mr. Reed and certainly our buddy Gary with his new and handsome dog.
Mandy, go first. You let me go last time.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that I'm actually really interested to get your perspective. I think that was a really smart strategy that you just suggested there, Peter. And what I've noticed with some of our clients, I've been like checking out their websites and just seeing what's happening, kind of getting the temperature. And I'm seeing our smaller dealerships, so like they might have one or two dealerships, maybe just those smaller groups. They seem to be panicking more than the larger groups, which I think makes absolute sense because I'm seeing them with those urgency banners saying the tariffs are coming, the tariffs are coming. And so I don't know if it's just a different shift in mindset because the smaller people are just scared that they're not going to sell cars. Like, what are you guys seeing in terms of that? And do you think that they should be taking the same approach as the bigger dealerships that have that ability to be stronger, more
Well,
Andy,
flexible?
the
to be
answer is
honest,
they have deeper pockets. And when
Yeah.
you have deeper pockets, bigger groups, and this is really sad, they tend to worry less until they wake up one day and realize that they've done irrevocable damage to the stores they have. Because we've all seen, man, we've all seen some pretty big businesses in the auto business and outside go down.
well,
For a long time,
Larry,
yeah.
think about Carvana. Carvana is a perfect example of waiting too long to pivot.
Mm.
They turned around and they were leading throughout COVID and everything else, and they knew that there was problems ahead, and they basically said we can ride it out, we can ride it out. Then all of a sudden they almost collapsed 100%. They went down to a buck a share. Now what are they at? Few hundred. It was the greatest rebound in automotive history in the shortest time.
Well, everybody thought they were going out of business. Peter, remember
Yeah,
the word on the street was
yeah,
they're done.
yeah. My prediction was they were going to get bought by Amazon. Little did I know that Amazon was going to go on the new side rather than the used side. So,
Mm.
um, the my prediction was that Amazon was coming in full fledged, and they are, and more OEMs are grabbing them to represent them. I hear BMW, Mazda, Genesis are next in line to go on the Amazon platform, um, and it's going to be out there, and people dealers have to learn how to pivot faster, and that comes down to something that I've said for a long time. Most dealers operate like the car lot. They operate on, and a great term I heard, and I can't remember who actually said it, so I can't take credit of it. They operate on the 30-day career.
Yep.
The 30-day career. It's what have you done in the last 30 days, because that's all that matters.
But wait a minute, Peter. Peter, take a step back. Everybody talks negatively about Amazon, but everybody uses Amazon because if you need something in a day or two, you get it. But think about what they can't do. They don't have a service department. They don't have people that are going to reach out and shake your hand and take you for a demo ride. So we're right back to the old thing. If you don't maximize what you have, the tools you have, the people you have, you're dead. But listen,
Mhm.
you all see the same thing I see. You see people trying to sell a car without doing a service walk. How stupid is that? You're shutting off the one part of your business. Remember during COVID, they were the ones that were deemed indispensable, where
Mhm.
everything else was shut down.
Essential.
Yep. Essential.
Yep.
Michael Larkin, you deferred to Mandy, and thank you for that. What are your thoughts here?
Fear of missing out is kind of the theme I've been hearing, and when I put my ear to the ground, most of the dealers that are talking about this is a they're taking a wait and see approach. Like let's, once it hits, let's calm down and see what it's going to do, and then make our adjustments. Instead, like Mandy was saying, and Peter alluded to, the smaller companies are like, yeah, this is panic button time. And to your point, Larry, it's because they don't have the deep pockets. It's you got to make a move right now to stay alive.
Do we all agree that if you take the wait and see attitude, you may wake up one day and there is nothing to see?
Mhm.
We've seen businesses turn around pretty damn quickly, and it's scary when they do. If you're not there's Wendy. If you're not plotting and planning, the hell are you doing if you're not preparing?
Well, think of it this way. You have, and let's take our good friend Ron Boss. Small market CDGAR dealership is getting absolutely annihilated on floor plan because the time in stock is ridiculous. Stellantis has finally come to the party and helping them out. Does a dealership like that jump on getting more stock based on the fact that Stellantis is sitting with a 57% North America or US content, or do they turn around and to get them pre-tariff, or do they turn around and try and make the best of what they have and eliminate their inventory and get ahead of the game, moving into the next stage, which is when you're deep in tariffs and or not deep in tariffs because they never materialized.
But the
So
funny thing is, we're now back to a full circle because I just about a month and a half ago, I helped Ron get a really good service manager, and he's anticipating his penetration in fixed is going to go up so much that a lot of the problems, the actual cash flow, the actual profit is actually going to go up, and he's not going to have a huge problem because he's so hands-on with what he's keeping
right,
an eye on. Plus, I think some of these manufacturers that are running into some problems are going to have to be a little more helpful to dealers. They're going to have to mediate some things, and I think across the board you're going to have to, if dealers don't start coming up with strong leases, you're never going to get these people out that are so upside down because you have a lot more room in a lease. Plus, even if it's pain, it's 3 years pain rather than 7 years of pain because you took an incredibly long term of the car you paid too much for.
7, they're going 10 now.
It's crazy. It's like a mortgage.
Like a boat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, boats you can go 10, 15, 20, 25 years depending on the value.
But it also can qualify as a home
Yeah.
because it has a toilet.
Yep.
If the car business goes wrong, a car can be considered a home because you'll have people sleeping in them if they keep screwing up.
Well, I was going to say the
Are you being
business.
serious, Jeff?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it has
absolutely.
a toilet.
Yeah. Toilet and a cooking device.
Jeff is always smart and serious, and I'm always a little unhinged. Haven't you figured this out yet, Larkin? We have our roles to play.
Hey, you'll be able to finance the dealership because it's gone into the shitter.
There we go. There you go. Rhonda gets her pay.
Rhonda, where's Rhonda?
Wendy, good to see you. How are you? How are things going? How's our boy Fred? And what are your thoughts on? We're all, I think we're kind of the mind that we'll get past the tariffs. That it could be a plus because so many people have been driven in. What are your thoughts, Wendy? We always like to hear from you.
So forgive me for being late, and I missed probably all the meat and potatoes early on in the show, and I apologize because once again I'm stepping into unknown territory. But the whole nature of what's going on right now is unsure, right? Uncertain. So anybody's guess is just as good as the next one as far as what's going to happen. What I do see is the same as what happened with COVID, with everything else, is that we recover very nicely from whatever it is, and we're able to pivot. And what it's doing is it's bringing us closer together through those speculations and sharing of what everyone's thought is of what's going to happen, the value of the relationship with parts, right? Because parts and service and fixed ops, and what yet another reason for us to bridge the gaps between sales and fixed ops, and realize that they're going to be doing a lot of the work, if like to the point of Peter, whoever just said it about negative equity and stuff, the things that we know for sure are the cars they have already they're not able to stay into because they were charged too much 5 years ago. So it's going to be a mess and it's going to be sticky, but we're going to recover. So we have to just not make rash decisions. And I guess, what is it? We pretty much got to wait it out. What did somebody say now? I heard on All Things Car Biz this morning that, who was it? A bunch of people wrote an email to Trump and asked him to, what did they ask him to do? Like
relax on
basically
the parts. Relax on the parts. If you have to do tariffs, put it on cars, not on parts.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because he's got to do something to help out the American people that are stuck in these vehicles that they're going to keep for a long time. So they can't buy new ones anyway. I mean, if they can't afford the tariffs and they can't get out of the ones they have. So all I know for sure is that nothing's for sure. How's that for an answer, Larry? And
Well,
I'm doing very fine, and so is Fred.
Wendy, listen, think about the wisdom behind what you said. Everything in life is uncertain. We all hope we'll be around having this program in another 47 years, but we could also be dead tomorrow. So
That's why they call it life.
Yeah, once you understand that if you live each day like you're dying and you give your best effort and you try and smile and have some fun and be productive, you're there. I think we'll all agree, I think so, that we spend way too much time, not at dealerships, in life, complaining about things, worrying about things. If we put our head down and focus, right? Think about when, God forbid, somebody passes away. What do we say to people? I know you're sad, but get busy. Keep yourself busy. Keep yourself occupied. It's the same thing here. When I got headaches, and we all have them, man, I bury myself in my work. And the next thing you know, 6, 5, 2, 10 hours went by. And instead of dwelling on anything that was bothering me, I was productive. So it's the same thing here. The dealerships that are worried about these things, and you should be always concerned about your business and keep an eye on it, but are they digging into the pragmatic things? I am the least technical person on this program, okay? The least. But I can go to dealerships' websites and show you what's wrong because they're so obviously wrong. The link's broken, this stuff. How about the phone numbers that don't work, or there's snow on the cars and it's July? Service. A couple shows ago, I don't think you were on, Gar, or Mandy. Russell Hill was on. He took his Genesis in, and the guy didn't greet him with welcome and how are you? It was, you have an appointment? He just couldn't believe it. So if all the things we're doing that could sustain us are a problem and nobody's working on it, where are you? I say it every damn training session and people laugh. What do car salespeople talk about all day? It's not sex, it's not sports, it's that there's no business. And then when a car pulls up, 3 idiots go, he's not a buyer, send the rookie out. As long as we don't understand, we're dead.
Dare I say something controversial? There are those that think that certain, it's what I do, right? So do a number of you in here. That's why we have rooms like the Disruptors and Innovators and Lethal Sales and all of it, because we speak outside the status quo. We tell it what we're thinking. We're the ones that are, the things that everyone else is thinking, we're saying them. We're saying them out loud. and and people find strength in that when there are people that feel like they do. But here's the thing. I had a really good lesson again. I think I do really good about control the controllables, and the meme or the GIF or whatever I always like to see. I don't remember. It was usually the Green Bay Packers doing it to the Chicago Bears. But like, if you have a controllable, like, what does a dog do? He walks up and sniffs on something, and if it's of no use to him, he pees on it and he walks away.
That's
So
what
what
the
it was
Bears do,
probably
the
a Green Bay Packer dog peeing on a Bears helmet is probably
other
what
way
it was.
around, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. But anyway, you know what I
Jeff's
mean.
from Chicago,
You
so
oh, you speak Wendy Eves. Oh, okay. Oh, Bears. Oh, we got a little thing going on here, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. You
Yeah.
go back to being from Illinois, and I'll go back to being a cheesehead instead of Arizona and Colorado, and we'll dance that dance another day. But
Wait a minute, Wen. I got to jump in. If you're talking, I just yet today was lecturing some people that I always said that Bill Belichick wasn't the greatest coach of all time, and we know how good he was when Brady left. The greatest coach of all time is Lombardi because he took a team that was 1-10-1, won 5 out of 6 championships, lost to our Eagles, swore he'd never lose another one, won the first 2 Super Bowls. All he did was have his guys block and tackle. Everybody in the league knew he was going to run the Lombardi sweep. Everybody knew it was coming, but everybody hit their blocks. When you see guys dancing around on ESPN, guy throws a 60-yard bomb, the guy's dancing around in the end zone, you miss the fact that if the fullback didn't block the rusher, the guy gets hit, the pass doesn't go through. So we're right back to blocking and tackling. Are we reaching out to people? Are we following up? Are we working orphan files? And then all of a sudden, the problems that we thought we had become less of a problem.
exactly. And to that point, like yesterday, I got caught in the minutia. Whatever it was, I didn't have all the pieces I needed to have. It's all a matter of perspective. I needed to just make phone calls. I was worried about this number or that number and this data and that data or whatever. Just make the phone calls. So we're worrying about all these things and reasons why we can't perform in our dealerships and why we can't do our job. And then you have what I was going to bring up, but what that was controversial is those that may have a sense of entitlement. And I don't think it's generational. I think there are as many baby boomers that feel like they're the, king shit. Sorry, Rhonda, I'll pay. I'll give you 50 cents for that one. And
is that because it was royalty?
yeah, because it was king. Yeah. But anyway, the whole point is we're so worried about everybody's feelings, and look at Brooke. That's not feelings. We need to look at what we need to do. We need to break it down. If we can't sell cars the way we used to do it, we need to figure it out and just keep selling cars and keep doing what we do and stop worrying about everything else, because we could still go down to a very easy thing and just sell cars, drive people to the dealership and sell them a car.
I love it. Hey, Jeff or Jason or
I'd like to jump
Gary.
in.
Please, Gary, please.
I'd like to jump in. So far, again, everybody's given great content and given great explanations. I think Peter was going down a couple of pathways that I liked. People are using the terms, everyone's using the term pivot. Everyone's using different terms. And I'll constantly go back to ignore the tariffs. It's noise. In the 80s, Ford and Chrysler wanted the dealerships to have certification, a blue oval in the Ford, a Chrysler 5-star experience. Was that in the 70s or the 80s? I don't even remember. May even be a little bit in the 90s. There are now 6 departments in the dealership. And I listen, and I have very limited to do with parts and service, but I hear all of these very smart people in parts and service is that, everything's broken. It's like no one communicates with the service department, the F&I department. Everybody still has silos. And what it is either the dealer needs to step up and lead, or a general manager needs to step up and lead, and stop letting all of this, coffee culture and cigarette smoking garbage that we've lost. Dealers are professional, and they really have forgotten that their websites now are their brand, and their websites all stink. And everybody on here has proven to me that they all stink. Why do they stink? The customer just wants simple information, just like when they go to Amazon. They want a price, they get a price. If they like it, they buy it. We've been talking, all of us. We're like, I used to say in my younger years, is that if a dealer doesn't want to listen, I'll go work on my handicap and play golf or bang my head against the wall because I'll get more accomplished than them. It's time for them to start listening and embracing all of these wonderful tools. And it starts with the general manager, the owner, the family, whoever's leading the ship's got to stop just allowing band-aids and not fixing the problem to let people just, as Wendy just said, just sell cars. What's the problem? You got inventory. You buy used cars, you buy used trucks, you get what you can, and you sell cars. None of this garbage. It's so noisy. And so 40 years ago, they used to talk about the 7-year cycle, that you would have a good 7 years and then you would have bad. And we lived on that in the 80s and the 90s. And we just said, that's a part of it. Suck it up. New England, we don't sell a lot of cars in the winter. It's too freaking cold. So now they could come into the showrooms. It's adapting and pivoting. And everybody on this panel, they all know that. And we're all here to help. Is that at least now we're getting a showcase that we can talk about it. Maybe they'll listen to it now that we don't have to be in front of them. And then if they like what we're talking about, they can engage. How
Well,
nice is that?
there was a podcast, Mike, today with Maria Berra and Mulaney, GM and Ford, and they seem to think the only way the industry is going to straighten out if more people go to Tampa May 22nd and see me and Sean. Hey, they said it, not me. I would never shamelessly plug May 22nd in Tampa.
Grand Hyatt.
Hey, Gary, it was 1997 for Chrysler 5-star, just for a fact. And the reason I know that is because around the year 2006, I was part of a committee in the marine industry, and we were adapting the 5-star program.
Okay.
For certifications and stuff.
The meet and greet and the parts walk and the service
you,
drive. And you had to map it all out.
You had to map it all out. It was a huge whiteboard.
You had to show the
Jeff, does anybody know what substance they were smoking when they decided it would be a good idea to team up with Mercedes? Because certainly Mercedes would lend all the attention to Chrysler rather than the Benz products. That one still mystifies me.
Yeah. I got another thought here. If, we're talking about going into where inventory is going to fly off the lots, okay, in before threat of COVID, threat of tariffs.
Yeah.
Are we going to get into a similar thing by COVID where everything's going for sticker or more on people that are already too far buried? Because why do I need a discount? There's people lining up for these.
But Ford did the employee pricing. So and hence the only income you're going to make is, why don't you do F&I? You sell
Ford and Chrysler, Gary. Chrysler's in that program.
Yeah, so you now aren't going to make money. So give the cars away. Now, if dealers were smart, they would preload it with decent stuff and load on that. But they should just take what they got and do a good job and sell as much as possible. And then you worry next month of where the inventory
is. On the employee pricing, they're making a 4% margin on the
holdback.
Yeah. So they're making their 4% and their holdback.
But then they got their shot in F&I. They got their shot in F&I.
They're still making the same $2,200, $2,400 on the front end.
So nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. The only thing that has changed is that you can't go to a Ford dealership, or you can go to a Ford dealership and buy a Raptor R and not pay $50,000 over.
Right.
So it's actually a better situation for the customer. So again, this transparency. And I'm going to say this. We started off the call and we talked about flying to Tampa and all the different prices and everything else. Well, how did we get those prices? We went online. We had the prices immediately given to us online. We made the decision based on what we got online.
Yep.
If car dealerships, in this is in the statement, as you say, car dealers and GMs to listen. The easiest way to talk to them about that is saying, okay, I'm going to give you a task. And I'm going to give you the task. I want you to fly. We're located in Newark, New Jersey. Okay, so you're going to fly out of Newark, and I want you to fly to Dallas, Texas. Simple as that. Get me a ticket. And how long is it going to take you? The dealer's going to go on, if the dealer does it himself or the dealer gets someone to do it, they're going to go on to a third-party travel, or they're going to go to an airline and put in the dates, and they're going to pick a flight that is suitable for them, get a price. In our system, we go on to the dealer and automatically we get friction.
Wait a minute, Peter, and we butt heads with the number one complaint, which is always how long it takes.
Yep.
Which is insane. Oh, by the way, when you're done stating your point, our friend Wendy has her hand up and she looks like she's all fired up.
So as we go through that, and we have those dealers that turn around and go, I know how to sell a car. I know what is really, when were you taught to sell a car? Oh, I've been in this business for 40 years. Great. So you've been in the business for 40 years. You were taught 40 years ago on how to sell a car. When was the last seminar you went to? When was the last training session you went to? When was the last book you read on selling cars and treating and the new focus on retail? None of them have done that, yet they've all professed to be experts. Every single one of them. And I get in trouble all the time. I was on Ian, our good friend Ian Nethercott's show on Monday, and we were talking about how dealers have a challenge that they don't like being exposed for who they are. Well, unfortunately, that's there. And my good friend Jason Reed is in the bottom right there. He's a dealer. And there's nobody more adept at agreeing on what I say, because we align on the culture and the customer experience that the dealers create and don't create. And that's the biggest challenge. We don't give the customer what they want. And it doesn't mean we have to sell the price at the vehicle at the price the customer wants. That has nothing to do with it. It's our product to sell, but we have to give the customer what they want as service expectations. Wendy, I land my plane.
So I want to ask a really valid question, because I honestly don't get it. Like my brain, my BDC brain, I want a clean website. I don't want the cars on the website unless the vehicles are available, so that we can set the appointment and have the customer come in and see it. And along the way, we're going to recommend too that we have several close matches, a lot of other sedans, a lot of other trucks, so that if they come in on an ad leader and it's gone, they don't get broomed off the lot. Or if they try to broom them off the lot, they're like, well, wait a minute, Wendy said you had a bunch of other trucks like that one. Can you show me those, in case they're not doing their own dang job? But then I don't remember where it was, all things car biz, and just the tail end of something I caught that would suggest that dealers are keeping the ad leader vehicles on their websites to entice customers to click through and come in or whatever, only to come and find out the damn car is sold. Why are they doing that? That's deceptive. That's neither a good
You went on mute, Wendy. You hit mute.
No, I didn't.
Well, something muted you.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Bears fan. They're still upset about that Green Bay Packer thing she brought up earlier.
Can you hear me now?
That could have been my fault. I'm in the middle of washing a car in my truck, so
No,
I'm moving around holding the
yeah,
phone in my hand and
we saw parts of your body that we don't want to see.
But my point is,
my
like,
eyes.
the good website, bad website. Why are we keeping stuff on the website to deceive the customer into thinking there's this really good deal on this desirable vehicle when it's not even there anymore? And we're worried about like tariffs and stuff. At the very basic level, they're not being truthful. There's false advertising. Isn't that what it is? You
Wendy,
don't get the dang vehicles off the website.
let me defend our brethren in the car business, and I'm not being facetious. I don't know that it's even deceptive practice. I think it's incompetence. If now,
Add that
you
twice.
didn't catch it, Peter, because you came on day one, and my girl Rhonda's seen it once or twice. Tomorrow, Jeff Scherer is the Comedy Channel with Larry Feldman. Because after I showed people the psychology of the sale, how to greet, how to build value and rapport, I sent him out to mystery shop and say, my sister just had a baby, okay? And how all over the United States, instead of saying, congratulations, boy or a girl, is it her first? Nope. Why isn't she here? What's her credit like? Tell her to look online. We just keep doing the same dumb things over and over and over. I don't think anybody's evil. You got a couple dealers that are creepy, but you have that in every field. I just think we're incompetent. I think we've had a business. Listen, if Wendy, if you and I went to a restaurant and we got poisoned, we'd never go back under any circumstances. But people all the time, somebody says, "Oh, beautiful car. Where'd you go?" "Don't go there. They suck." "Well, why'd you buy it?" "Well, they were down the block." Me and Gary wouldn't go back to a restaurant that poisoned us. The bar is set so low in this industry, and we maybe have gotten mentally lazy over the decades because people come in and they buy them. And the thing I teach, which might be the most valuable and the most simplistic, is it costs around $450 to get somebody to walk into a dealer. Act like it's your money, not the dealer's. Nobody'd ever get blown off. Can you imagine if we stopped blowing people off and disrespecting them and not giving them a chance to build rapport? What could happen? So maybe even more than design, I just think we've got a lot of incompetence. Think about how
Now,
broken everything we say is.
incompetence is the people in charge don't know what's going on the showroom floor. They certainly don't know because, for how many years have dealers been lied to by digital marketing geniuses that promise them the world to pay, and then they take their leads and share them in the own market? So this has been an ugly, ugly environment. Over COVID, everybody started realizing you could get your own first party data. Geez, how novel is that? And the only reason why that surfaced is because all of these guys were afraid that they didn't meet the safeguard rules and that the information wasn't going to be secure. It's the same thing. You need to build foundations. There's a process for everything. And we've lost our way in the auto industry, clearly, because now they're fighting with the OEM. The OEM wants to sell cars, and it's down to the community and the dealers that run their own business. That's why I still love the hometown family-owned Ford dealer. Chrysler used to be, but as you keep on saying, Larry, that whole debacle with whatever's going on there, and look at the lost GM. I mean, they took the money, and so it's the OEMs that are creating the problems, and the dealers got to figure out what they're going to do. It used to be get a Suzuki franchise, so you got decent finance, so you sell cars, you sell used.
Garrett, but think about it. I'm on your side. It still talks back to incompetence. Listen,
Okay,
think about
ignorance and incompetence.
Gary, I think you and me are roughly the same age.
Yep.
Peter too. So Peter, Jeff Scherer, Gary, do you remember when
Jeff's older.
you might have been playing hockey? We used to play football on the street, and we would stop when a cool car came by, and we could tell the difference between my Grand Prix, an Oldsmobile Cutlass,
The
okay,
Firebird,
and a Chevy Monte Carlo or Firebird.
Yep.
They reached the point, they woke up one day and all their damn cars looked alike. I was in
yeah,
the car business. I couldn't tell if a car rolled by.
yeah, yeah.
So
Now,
when
see,
you,
I'm going to comment on this, okay?
yeah,
That just proves incompetence. You said you were playing in the street and you would only stop when the cool cars were coming through. How dumb are you to not stop when the rest of the cars are coming through?
no, no, no,
You're
no,
in,
no, no,
you're in
no,
the freaking
no.
street.
Jason, you don't
I know what
understand.
I know what
No,
you're
you
talking
don't
about.
understand. I'm Jewish and I have a lot of relatives that are lawyers. I wanted to get hit. And I didn't care about the cool cars. I wanted the expensive cars. Do we have
I
to
got
explain everything to this guy?
Jason's a little cockeyed, so that's
you.
all
I
right.
know.
Yeah,
And
but you've
speaking
never
of,
looked better, Jason.
thank you, but I
He-
do want to speak on what we're talking about,
Go ahead.
Okay.
and I'm gonna have a moment. So I am personally sick and tired of everybody talking about the uncertainty. There's no uncertainty. The only reason why you're uncertain is because you didn't plan your stuff accordingly. Period. That's fact.
I
You didn't
concur.
plan ahead. If you are worried about uncertainty, you should have been planning when Trump was elected. You should have been planning 2 years into the Biden administration what was going to happen. You should have been planning ahead for this then. And if you didn't, you're the one that's getting a set of steak knives while I'm going to be driving a Cadillac Eldorado. Okay? Period. End of story. The problems you're facing now at your stores are not created right now. They're not created by a tariff. They're not created by a mystery tax that's going to come and swap your prices up. They're created by you not doing your jobs previously. Your customer service, your relationship management, your building of your culture at your store. You don't have people wanting to come back to you because you suck. You've lied. You've
Jason, we're
cheated your
right back
people.
to incompetence.
Right.
Listen,
You've lied. You cheated your people. And they
Jason,
don't want
I
it now.
said it, and I'm quoting my own book, forgive me. I don't think I ever said anything smarter or truer than customers are not annoyances, they're annuities. If you do it
Correct.
right, you can reap so much business off of a customer. If you're not in Virginia or Ohio or California, you can write a referral check. Everybody on earth wants that $100. Wealthy people drive their Bentleys across town to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas. So
Correct. And
I'm with you 100%.
every successful salesperson that I've looked up to has always been able to plan their month out by the residual income.
Wait a minute, Jason. You don't have most sale. I'm with you. When I was a salesman, when I was an owner, and now I can't function if I don't plan my day the night before. If I don't walk around with my things to do list, I'm lost because I get 25 calls, all kinds of crazy stuff happens, and I'm stuck. You're talking
Correct.
about planning out their month. Most of these people aren't planning out what's going to happen tomorrow. They're
Right.
like pinball getting
And not
bounced
only
around.
that, Larry, I bet you have a plan B, C, and D because when plan A goes to shit, plan B is going to jump in. And that's going to go to shit. Sorry, Rhonda. And then it's going to go to plan C and D.
Oh, hold
That's
on.
that's
Joshua
called
Taylor just
pivot.
jumped in. Joshua, Jeff Scherer was logical. Jason is angry, and everybody's cursing a lot. So Rhonda's looking for a new call.
Rhonda's filling up the jar.
She absolutely is.
And then
When you're done,
another
let's hear
point,
from our boy, Mr. Taylor.
last point I make is when have you learned something new lately that can aid your
Today.
business or even and in life in general? Okay.
Today. Absolutely.
You
I learned it today.
always learn a skill, and that's the problem with a lot of these people that are incompetent. They want the stuff handed to them. They don't have the sense of, I'm going to go solve the problem myself. Yesterday, I had so many incompetent things come across my desk that I was infuriated. But you took just 2 extra seconds of your time to do it yourself, but you chose not to. You wanted somebody to hand you the solution. And I'm sorry, but that is just not the way the world runs. It shouldn't run anyway. But we've let it get. We've let
Joshua
it get
Taylor, we
to that
appreciate
point.
you jumping in. What are your thoughts? We're talking about that the tariffs aren't as scary as they look. They prompted a lot of business, and like everything else, if we're competent, if we plan, if we look forward instead of backward, we're going to be fine. What are your thoughts, my friend?
I don't care if the tariffs are here or not. Quite
Same
honestly,
way he does. Me too.
I don't care because at the end of the day, we still got products and service to sell. There's still people out there to buy them. We still have the same processes to learn. We still have the same people to teach how to sell things. We still have to teach people to be empathetic. We still have to build teams empathetically. We need to talk to them like they're human beings. It doesn't matter whether I've said this like 4 times in the last week and there's recorded content on it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if crisis. It doesn't matter COVID. It doesn't matter. None of that matters because at the end of the day, everybody still needs stuff. We have stuff to sell. We need to communicate it empathetically to these people so they understand what it is that they're buying and who they're buying it from. We need to make content on it because everybody needs to know who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, and what the product is, not just here, buy it. And we need to do it repeatedly, daily, consistently. And if you're afraid to start anyway.
Nice job.
Just push the red button.
Just push the red button.
So I'm just going to jump back, and I'm going to give Larry a little plug here. And it's not like he needs any more plugs, but if we look at retention, we can look at client retention or we can look at employee retention. Client retention is at its all-time worst. We lose 70% of our clients right off the bat and before the first service, and a further 70% before the warranty terminates in the first part of the warranty, the full coverage, which is 3 to 4 years in most manufacturers. So at that point, you're left with 9% of your client base, and you have to go out and acquire them. At acquiring a client, Larry touched on it, it's between $400 and $700 a client to acquire. It's absolutely madness. The next thing is let's look at employee retention. Employee retention right now is at 46% turnover rate across the board in the dealership, with variable being.
Hey, Peter, can I just add to something to that? Because you made a very great point. We believe that the 46% is too low. Fire, man, don't wait till they screw up. Just fire everybody now. Call me. I'll be glad to help you replace your whole staff. Just wanted to mention that, Peter.
See, I knew he was going to jump in and put a shameless plug for that company.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no, my brother.
So if we look at that, now let's look at the employee retention at 46% across the board, 70 to 80% in variable. Who wants to walk into a dealership and talk to someone and then come back 2 weeks later and that person's gone because they didn't make their 800 sales calls that week? And who gives a damn about how many sales calls, how many this, how much activity that they actually do? How much connection are they providing the customer is what I'm concerned with. And I looked at a software this week that was out, blew my mind away, that actually showed connection and showed the actual value of each individual rep to the company. Do you know this company's been around for over a decade and they have 100 rooftops in the United States? That's because the unconscious incompetent, which is the person who doesn't know that they don't know, therefore they don't know that they don't know, is running an operation who has never looked into a tech stack. They've never looked in doing an audit on that. They don't look at changing the dynamics because the dynamics still show that they're going to get a 3% net on their revenue generated, and that's going to give them millions of dollars every year. And they don't change. They just don't change. So what is it going to take for them to invoke change into their daily routine that is going to take that 3% back to 5 or 7% in just by doing the right job? Not there's millions of dollars being lost in turnover every year. Absolutely millions. Zach McVicker gave me a unique calculator 2 nights ago, and I can calculate exactly how much loss a dealership is making just with a few key factors, and it is staggering what turnover cost is. Staggering. But they don't see it because it's not on the statement, and they don't care. They don't care because they don't see it. And what they don't see they don't recognize. So if they don't see the messages on their desk that the receptionist has written out because they don't do voicemails, they never called. If they throw the receipts in the garbage, then they never spent the money. If they can't see it, they don't recognize it. Mandy, I see you want to talk on this one.
Yeah, because I literally see this every day. This is really where my wheelhouse is, just digging into how dealerships just, a lot of them seem to be at least partially aware that there's a problem here. And I've had some big auto groups from the States who like reached out to us. So that to me is really saying something, that they're really starting to look inwards and be like, hey, we have a real problem here. And the number of turnover, like the amount of turnover is so high, it is mind boggling. But it comes down to so many different processes and things. But I think that you touched on this earlier, and it talks back to literally the point you're just trying to make. If it's not on their desk, it's really that 30-day mindset all the time. And I don't know how we can shake the dealerships to make them think like you have to look beyond that. Like, yeah, that's great. You have people on your floor now. And what happens when you hire the next person? Have you thought about what the onboarding process is going to look like? Have you thought about the tech stack? Have you thought about the training? Have you thought about the support? Have you thought about the culture? Like, I know there's some disruptors and innovators that have, and I've definitely seen some great conversations about that, but I don't know how to really convey that to an entire industry. I don't know how we're going to shake them and help them look in the mirror and be like, hey, we're actually bleeding from within right now. Like, we have all these crises and things that we're distracted with, which we all agree that it's really just doing the same work every day and treating our customers properly and just managing things. But all of the content and the webinars and everything that we're doing for the next couple of months is all about protecting the profits and helping dealerships look inside to see how they can solve those problems that are bleeding them money while they're stressed about all this other stuff that they can't really control.
Hey, Mandy, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, in order for any business to understand that they have a churn problem, what do they have to do? What do they have to do? What's the very specific thing that they have to do?
I think it's just something that overall they would just notice. Like, if you can't keep people in a role.
If a business has 100 employees and the churn rate's 30%, let's say it's as low as 30%. The churn rate's 30%, right? And it's 30% year over year or year over year. And it doesn't change. They're constantly having to call Larry to come in and find them, recruit them, train them, get them on the floor. And they're rock stars by the time Larry's done. But they still have this 30% churn rate. If you change something over and over and over again, and yet the churn rate stays the same, what is the reason that they have a high churn rate?
Let me help you with that, all kidding aside. I remember the first time they sent me to training, and I came back and figured, okay, they sent me, and I mentioned it to my desk managers. We're not bothering with that BS. If the managers aren't bought in, if it's 100%. Not, everybody's not rowing in the same direction, you just go in a big circle. So a lot of this stuff dissipates because I don't care how good the training is, right? What Zig Ziglar say, training is like bathing. It doesn't last, so I recommend it every day. But that's what happens. It just kind of goes by the wayside.
So hey, why doesn't it last, though?
This is the same conversation that we've been having for 30. It's just amazing how they continue to allow and not get back to basics. And I mean, it's like they ignore it.
The reason it doesn't go, it keeps falling into the same category is if you go into most dealerships, you don't see practical application of important things.
Absolutely.
You don't see role playing. You don't see people thinking about feature advantage benefits. You just don't see people doing useful things. I didn't coin it, but it's a great question. If you owned this dealership, would you approve of what you did for the past hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? So because they don't have any kind of pattern, they don't have the kind of supervision they need, even if it's a great idea, if it's not reinforced, it goes away. We all know advertising, it can't be once. It's got to be constant to have a bleed through. Make sense?
They don't do it because they don't know them. They don't know the basics. They have forgotten the basics. They've
Yeah.
been told the basics
But
don't
why,
exist
have
anymore.
they forgotten the basics? I think we're missing the golden bullet, the silver bullet here. It's leadership accountability. If the leadership cannot hold themselves accountable to their own things, how can the team possibly be expected to hold themselves to their 800 cold calls in a month, or the text messages, or the social media posts, or just being nice to customers? They can't be held accountable for anything if the leadership cannot hold themselves accountable.
Correct.
So let's just jump on that for 1 second. If we look at activity breeds results, and I've had arguments with many of the thought leaders in our realm over it, I think it's absolute crap, because if we look at the average sales conversion being 4 hours in the United States, and if you are required to sell 50 cars a month, that's 60 hours of your 160 hour work week. So you have, or work month. So you have 100 hours left to prospect and convert customers. Now, if you're at a 50% conversion and it takes you 2 hours to try and make a deal with someone, that means you are another 20 hours off that. So you're down to 80 hours to make 2,500 touch points a week. So you have 20 hours to make 2,500 touch points. How impossible is that? It's impossible. And I don't care if you have automation, AI, whatever, you're not getting a quality touch point for someone. So you're blowing through opportunities with your customers. And it's an impossible task. Like, no matter what you do, you can't do it. So you either have to change the dynamics in the dealership, which means that you have to hire someone like Wendy and a team of Wendy's, or you have to turn around and alter what you think. And one of the things that you have to alter with what you think is that an actual communication point is going to be 15 to 20 minutes.
I'm going to go lift some things and put them back down. Have y'all a great night.
I was going to ask you if you got to the place that you were going to.
No, I'm still in the same spot. It just somehow gets harder and harder the longer I stand on it. Cheers, folks.
Hey, Peter, it's we're sneaking up on our hour. Does anybody have any final thoughts? I think we all agree that there's room for improvement, that if we work together, that if we can lock in with management, if we can say, hey, you're going to be somewhere anywhere for 8 hours, 2, 6, 10, why not make it productive? Why not keep yourself busy? And I don't mean clapping the erasers busy, but productive busy. We'd all be happier, including the customers, and we'd make more money and have more fun. Anybody have any closing thoughts with that? If not, Peter will tell you what he's got, percolating for tomorrow. And obviously, as always, we thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate you.
And hi, Fred.
Hey, Fred.
Santa?
Santa's hiding in the pool. So
Can you
there
hear
he
me?
is. Yeah, I can hear you now.
I hear you.
I just woke up from a nap. I'm laying in bed.
Okay.
See,
Well, we're glad you checked in, Fred.
A little too much information there, Fred.
There you
yeah.
go. Peter, tell
All
us,
right.
tell us what you got for tomorrow so we can roll through.
Okay, so tomorrow night I have it's Women in Automotive, the last week of the month, as always. I have Shasta Haddock as my co-host, and we've brought along Becky Squires and Ashley Cavalos as our co-hosts. The topic is, have you found your community? And basically, we're exploring how people, or how women in automotive, can find their voice and their focus groups and everything else. It's going to be an amazing show. So I can't wait for it.
Guys,
Other than that,
thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to see you, and we appreciate you, your time, and your input. Everybody stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good
Good
night.
night,
you, everyone.
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.